Welcome to Tenkaichi Podcast, number one under heaven for martial discussion. And now get ready for the new episode. Hi everybody, today I want to talk about martial art history. And what's the best start than to talk about the most ancient martial arts that we know that also influenced many other. We are talking about the Kalaripayattu, the Indian martial art. The existence of martial arts in India for over 3,000 years can be proved by the mention of martial arts in the Vedas, the sacred text in the Hinduism. According to ancient folklore, Lord Vishnu's disciple Parasurama, who was an avatar of Lord Vishnu, is believed to be the founder of martial arts in India. Kalaripayattu, which is the most popular amongst many martial arts practiced in India, is believed to have been founded by Parasurama. Kalaripayattu is probably the oldest form of martial arts in India. The word Kalaripayattu is combined of two words, namely Kalari and Payattu, which mean training ground, Kalari, and fight, Payattu. Kalaripayattu is an ancient art form and it is considered to be one of the oldest forms of martial art in India and across the world. During the peak of its popularity, Kalaripayattu was used as a code of combat by the South Indian dynasty. Kalaripayattu reached its zenith during the 100 years of war between the Cholas, Pandyas, and Cheras. I'm sorry if I messed up the pronunciation, the Indian pronunciation. The constant fighting between the princely states helped the fighters in refining the art into a martial art form. It's interesting to see how this martial arts origin is legendary. It comes from the folklore. In other martial arts, we have, a man or a monk, somebody that created the martial art and then become legends. Okay, with this martial art he defeat everything. But then here is even more. So let's talk a little bit about the founder, the so-called founder, Parasurama, which is also a legend itself. Is inside the sacred scripture too. He was the son of another wise man, a Brahman, and he was really strong, and he also believed he was a strong incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Vishnu, we said, right? Yes, Vishnu, which is one of the deity in the Hindu religion. And this Parasurama, he was lived in this period of time of war, and there was this king that he was really mean with the people. And one time he was tired and he had like a journey, and he found hospitality inside this wise man's house, and he was such unbelieved how this wise man he greet me in his house. He has a lot of eat, and he found out about this a lot of food. Found out about this cow, that he was like a sacred cow, magical cow, and he was giving everything. And so the king wanted this cow, and he stole it, of course, because the wise man didn't want to give it to him because he was evil. And so he was really mean to the wise man, all the wise men, and he stole the sacred cow. So Parasurama was angry and ran against the king palace, and everybody was trying to throw him arrows and even with stones and trees, and he was super fast and he could destroy all the arrows, and then he jumped and he killed everybody and also killed the king, cutting his head. So really like you can see on a Hollywood movie, no, even better on a Bollywood movie. That's why I can understand now why they're so crazy in their action movie, because they have this legend from the beginning. So yes, this is the founder of this martial art is a mythical character. Let's find out more about this Kalaripayattu. Many martial arts in India have been forgotten due to neglect and lack of proper documentation of their existence. But Kalaripayattu has stood the test of time. During the 13th and 16th centuries, the art gained dominance and was incorporated into many religions as well. For example, part of the, we're going to see later, but part of the Kalaripayattu training is also the yoga, and most yogi train in the Kalaripayattu. And in India, the yoga is quite connected to the religion. It was customary in Kerala to have all children above the age of 7 to obtain training in Kalaripayattu. Martial arts in India were considered as a code of life for many. However, during the British occupation, martial arts in India suffered major setback. The ruling British objected to the tradition of training with and carrying arms. Laws were passed and were implemented with zest to prevent the people from practicing and training in Kalaripayattu. These laws were put in place by the British to quell the chance of any form of mutiny or rebellion among the natives. And we see this practice also in other parts of Eastern country in the history. But the British had underestimated the love of martial arts in India, and Kalaripayattu was secretly practiced and kept alive during the colonial occupation of India by the British. The art was practiced by people in rural areas to avoid a confrontation with authorities. Thus, one of the main martial arts of India survived the dark times, where curbs were imposed on its practice. On being declared independent, martial arts in India were in vogue again, as they could now be practiced without hesitation. Lost glory of Kalaripayattu was regained, slowly and steadily. Many movement and posture in the art of Kalaripayattu are believed to be inspired by raw strength of animals and are also named after them. There is a strong belief that this art was developed in the forest when hunters had observed the fighting techniques of different animals, which I think is the most practical, is the most realistic origin. And then to give more importance, they put it inside this the Veda, the sacred, the mythical history. Today, martial arts in India are back in focus. Kalaripayattu is now practiced widely across Kerala, fringes of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and also in Sri Lanka. Kalaripayattu is also a source of living for many people in Kerala, as performances are now conducted for tourists. Kalaripayattu has been stood the test of time, unlike many other martial arts in India. Historically, Kalaripayattu has proven to be one of the most ancient martial arts in India and is still being practiced by many in southern India. As we said, Shiva was said to have thought Parasurama, the art of Kalaripayattu, which arised itself out of Shiva's war with the father-in-law Daksha, one of the Prajapatis, or Lord of Creation. Later, Parasurama taught his 21 disciples the art of Kalaripayattu, and then opened 108 Kalari school gymnasium around the Kerala religion, southern India state. Also here we have 21, 108, they're like the numbers, they mean something. 108, for example, are the number of sphere you have on a mala, the Indian rosemary, the necklace with the spheres. Usually have 108, and 21 also is a meaningful number. The ethnic Indian martial art of Kalaripayattu it's also have a significant importance for practitioner of the Tibetan and Chinese martial arts, and also many others, as we see later. In tradition, the Shaolin Temple martial art in China was introduced by the Indian Buddhist patriarch and founder of Chan Buddhism, which is called Zen Buddhism in Japanese, Bodhidharma. He lived in the 450 to 523 CE, Common Era. Okay, so these are the mythical origin of the Kalaripayattu. But now, what is the training? Let's discover how they train and other interesting things. The Kalari training is traditionally carried out in enclosure, which is 21 width to 42 length. Okay, so inside a place, inside a room. Such training grounds are constructed according to Vastu Shastra and are considered as pious as a place of worship. So it's like sacred place. Okay, there is a specific way to build and make. The entrance faces the east, and the place of deity is to the southwest. The deity place has its 7 steps symbolizing strength, patience, commanding power, posture, training, expression, and sound. Students obtain the power to control the internal energy, breath, mental power, and the power to focus by following the rituals and reciting mantras. That's really interesting. Students are instructed not to sleep during the daytime and are advised to sleep well at night, which we should learn about that. It is important that the students understand that Kalari is not only a means of self-defense, but also a means to become determined and self-disciplined. Kalari training can be started as early as 7 years of age. Beginners start with training in balance and body flexibility, and then move on to advanced lesson. Kalari requires speed, agility, and coordination of body parts. The training to become a master includes training in Ayurveda and knowledge of human anatomy, which helps in understanding vital nervous point. The combat training can be divided into 4 categories. So let's first talk about the part we just read. So the beginner part is more balancing and coordination. Then you start to develop the skills, and to master the technique you have to learn the Ayurveda, which is type of knowledge. You know, like there is the massage, Ayurveda massage, but also other practices. We can compare it to the Chinese medicine, meridian. Okay, they have the chakra, and in Chinese there are the meridian. There are two different things, but it's interesting how the martial art practice have to develop also to kind of medicine part to understand the anatomy. That's very interesting, and the energy part. So let's see the combat training. We have the Maitari, physical methods of fighting. Koltari, wooden weapon fight. Ankatari, iron steel weapon. Verunkai Prayogam, unarmed combat. Potara Pranamam, Salutation of Kalaripayatto. Potara is like the Potara, the earring from Dragon Ball Z. So what is Salutation of Kalaripayatto? The 7 presiding deities of Kalari comprise the 7 steps of the Potara. The first step is that of Vinesha or Ganapati. Sorry about that. At the base of the Potara, giving initiating power. The second step is Chandika or Bhumi or Parvati, earth power, giving passion of earth. The third step is of Vishnu for Agni Sakti or commanding power. Vishnu has the chakra as his weapon, and its rotation destroys all enemies. On the fourth step is Vadukishka or lighting. The weapon in itself has no lighting power. It is only the action with the weapon that gives the power associated with speed and quickness. Ayuda Parasakti. On the fifth step are the power and blessing of the Guru Shakti. And on the sixth step is Kali in her Raudra aspect. Kali is the deity of death, I believe. Here you get the special power of fury. Finally, as the seventh is Bhagashta Purusha, where you get the power of voice or sound. In Chinese is Pashi. In Japanese, Kiai. Making certain noise, one can terrify the opponent like an animal. A man who perfectly knows all these 7 and keeps his mind always concentrated will be able to have superior mana shakti. Potara Pranamam is an important and foremost feature in Kalaripayatto. Then let's see the 7th step. Are these the 7th step? Okay, let's just quickly see the 7 steps. Maithari, physical exercise. We have the leg movement exercise. So it's 16 different exercises in this category. The student learned to grip the floor with his toes to keep his balance and to focus while performing the exercise. Practicing the leg exercise every day stretches the muscles well and improves the performance of the student. So very strong legs and flexible. This basic training is necessary before advancing into the techniques of Kalaripayatto. They also have a particular focus on the spine exercise to be flexible and strong. Number 2, we have Koltari, the wooden weapon. Koltari refers to the use of wooden weapon, especially a stick about 5 to 6 feet long. This is the first weapon to be taken for practice in Kalaripayattu. Stick training allows one to use it as a powerful weapon of offense and defense. Stick fight is the preliminary phase to learn the art of fighting with spears. And then you have different, you have the curved stick and the mace. Then you have the metal weapons, Ankatari. The dagger has a length of about 1 foot and is sharp in both sides. So it's like a big, sharp dagger knife. It's pointed at the end. They're used for slashing, cutting, and prevention of attacking. No shield used. Then other weapons are personal sword, sword and shield, spears to spear fight, and sword and shield against spear, knife and cloth, flexible sword, Verumkai, unarmed combat. Verumkai involve predominantly the use of bare hands for a fight. An attack during an armed moment can be handled by using one's hands that may be aided by a piece of cloth or a rope. Locks and blows are the main feature of such combat. Attacks directed to various parts of the body, especially the nervous system, using blows and kicks, are therefore practiced to perform in Verunkai. Let's see, they have the animal posture. So you have elephant, lion, horse, fish, cat, wild, cock, and snake. These are the various steps, the various animal posture. And then we have the steps, and that's it. Vettu Chavaddu. Vettu means beat, Chavaddu means stepping. In Vettu Chavaddu, students perform the act of beating and taking steps in the sun movement. However, an attack is always preceded by a blocking movement. The overall movement are made in 4 directions, which also involve intricate group pattern, speed, concentration, and powerful stroke with the hands are enhanced in this cycle of exercise. So Vettu Chuvadu, they can be associated to Taolu in Chinese and Kata in Japanese. So it's a routine of techniques to enhance the skills and the precision, the coordination of the practitioner. And also they have many more weapons. Okay, so that was very interesting. We've learned about this Indian martial art. As we said before, I started to introduce the Kalaripayattu because it's one of the we don't know exactly which one is the first martial art, because also when in India there was Kalaripayattu, in maybe in Greece there was Pancrazio, and in ancient America there was another type of fighting. Okay, so but this one, it develops the martial arts that we know. When we think about martial arts, they're like the Eastern martial art. I think the origin is over here. As we said, after Bodhidharma went from India to China, and I'll probably have a different podcast for that. We're talking about the Shaolin, because he did his meditation, and then he originated the Shaolin style. But this is another story, as we said. And from the Shaolin also, other stories, other martial arts developed. So that's what's very important. And I can see a similarity. That's, well, I just said here, but I'm gonna say it also when we talk about the Shaolin. For example, the connection between the breathing and the medicine aspect and the martial art, like the spiritual and physical connection, also the weapon. Even if in Shaolin you start straight with method of fight, they have method of fighting too over here, and then the first weapon is the stick as well. Also here they have the stick as well, and then I have different weapon, and the connection with the animals also in the Shaolin. So it's a very interesting connection, and of course we can understand why, because it's straight from an Indian teacher. Yes, most of the as part of the training is also the yoga, as everybody knows about yoga, and but yoga is very wide, and many stands are developed. I think that's another comparison with the Shaolin, like a Shaolin training also comprehended the Qigong exercise, breathing and posture. So I believe that also in Kalaripayattu have the yoga exercise too, to develop strength and flexibility. Very good. I believe we said everything. If you have any question about that, or maybe you have more information, maybe you practice Kalaripayattu or you want to add something more, I will be really glad to receive a message. And if you want, you have different type of a different choice for contacting me. There is the Facebook page and the Instagram page of Tenkaichi Tournament, where you can write me, or you can leave me a vocal message, and if you want, you can be put it inside of an episode with your voice. I leave the link in the description of this episode. Also, if you like martial arts, you want to learn, or you just want to train, I have a personal channel on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, Master Simone Marini. You can find some martial arts training, some workout training, some ideas. It's both Italian and English channel, so you find also something in Italian, but they're quite simple. And over there, if you want to subscribe, I'll be really glad on both my channels. And I wish you a good training week. Remember, training always, training good.